What's going on, everybody? So this week we're going to be taking a look at making punch sounds using only household items. So for this video, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take at least one item that you would find in your four standard rooms, so your bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, living room, and combine them all together to make that punch sound that you would hear like in a movie or a video game. So if you've ever heard somebody actually getting punched, it doesn't sound anything like you would hear in the movie. It's that hyper realistic, like every bone in your face is getting broken when you get hit type of sound. And that's what I wanted to try and recreate. I had a lot of fun doing this video, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as I did. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that I needed to do was find items in the house that would be great transient type noises. So I found my living room pillow. I found some bamboo barbecue skewers from the kitchen. I also found a spatula that I could hit things with to get transient sounds. I used some shampoo and conditioner from my bathroom to get some gross sounds. And from the bedroom, I decided to use the largest object I have in my bedroom, my bed. So starting off with the living room, the reason that I grabbed the pillow is I wanted to be able to hit it so that we could get some sort of impact sound. It's not a large pillow, so it's not real bassy. Kind of gives us some mids to play with and give us that impact. And let's go from there. So now that we've got some general impact sounds from the pillow, I was thinking about the barbecue skewers, and my wife actually broke one in half the other day, and it sounded like a really solid bone crack. So that's why I decided to use the barbecue skewers. And I know that a lot of times in Foley sessions, you'll see celery being used or carrots. I didn't really want to waste any food, so that's why I tried to find an alternative. So moving on to the bathroom, now that we've got bones cracking, kind of want some sloppy, gross noises for flesh and blood type sounds. And so I actually had these old travel size shampoo and conditioner containers that I decided to play around with. Perfect. Alright, so now that we got all our audio imported, the first thing that we need to do is we need to go through and clean them up, make sure that we don't have any weird noises in our sessions, and we'll trim them up, get some usable chunks out of them, and go from there. Alright, so now that we've got all the tedious work out of the way, you can see here we've got all of our usable clips set up. I did a little bit of fading on them, and I did some clip gain. Other than that, I haven't done anything to them. And we ended up with, I think it was 95 usable clips. I did break down the shampoo and conditioner into 3 separate tracks. I've got a section of splats, section of hits, and a section of squishes. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take all these and we're going to layer them together. We're probably not going to use all of them because that would be a little overkill. But I want to make sure that we had enough usable content. That way we can really get into what it is that we're trying to achieve. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of them. And we're going to pull up our clips list here, and we're just going to start working one by one. And let's start with the couch pillows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these tracks, and then we're going to add, I don't know, let's do 3 or 4 tracks. That'll give us enough to start working with. And so I'm just going to grab at random here. I'm going to grab the first one. Just to see what we can come up with. And we're going to line all these transients up. Mute all of these other. I know there's nothing on them, but once I start adding stuff together, I just want to make sure I'm organized. So let's go ahead, and this is probably going to clip, but so let's go ahead and start mixing these a little bit. Bring all these down. Okay. So we're not clipping anymore. And let's just trim these up so that they're right at that transient. Okay, so this is a decent starting point. Let's go ahead and add some other sounds in. Alright, so let's move this one back a little bit. There we go. All right. I'm definitely going to have to fade these out. So I think it looks like it's this one being weird. We're going to trim that up. We're just going to give each one of these a fade. Now let's see if we get any weirdness. Yeah, this one's still being weird. There we go. Now we don't have the wobble that's in there. Now let's go ahead and we're gonna grab these tracks, move them to our transient, unmute, and see what they sound like together. Okay, so we're getting there. Let's open up our mix window again and see what we're doing. All right, so we're getting there. And I mean, it still sounds like a fabric hit, which, I mean, it's a bed and a pillow. So we kind of got that cloth sound in there, but we'll see what we can do once we start adding the bone breaks, which is what we're going to do next. And I don't want to start EQing these just yet. I want to get our baseline sound down first. It seems to be working so far. Grab the first one. These are more what I'm after. We might be able to throw some of these in and just to kind of flavor it up, but these will be a little further down in the mix. Yeah, I don't want that one just yet. And one more good one. Okay. So let's zoom in here and line these up. Okay. I was playing around with these before, and these do sound a little better when they're pitched down. That sounds like somebody eating a potato chip. Okay, so once again, clipping, pull all these down. And this is just my workflow with things, you know, not necessarily saying that this is the right way or the wrong way. It's what works for me. I kind of mix together all the different elements, and then I mix the elements together. And when I say done, I don't mean that they're complete. It just, like I said, you know, we've got a decent baseline to work with. And now let's move this over and see what we've got so far. Okay. Now we're back into clipping, so that's not what we want, but We're definitely making progress. This is actually turning out a little better than I thought it was going to be, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, let's start with some of the splats. I'm not exactly sure how these are going to turn out. I kind of want to get a couple examples of the splats, the hits, and the squishes. But I don't want to go overboard. So I think for these I'm only going to do three samples of each. Okay, so I don't know that I like that sound. Let's grab another one. I don't know that I like either of those. Okay, that might work. And we'll listen to those all together. Okay. I'm digging it so far, not gonna lie. Let's get a little more gore in here. And again, we're only gonna have a couple tracks in here, so. I should have done a better job naming these. Alright, so one of these has some air in it, and I think it's this one. I'm just going to use a different one. These are the squishes. This is where I think a lot of the flavor is going to come from. Still too much. I think that one's going to be too long. Okay, let's see what we got here. Alright, so let's go ahead and listen to all that together. Squishes are just still a little too much, because I haven't really turned those down at all. Alright, so there's a sound in there that I can't quite find. And I think it's coming from audio number 9. Yep, they're right there at the end. Okay, so for not doing like really any mixing, this doesn't sound half bad. Like I said, I'm a little surprised at how well this turned out so far. So this next part is going to get really repetitive, and I'm not going to make you sit through and listen to it. I'm going to play through the sounds over and over and over again, just to try and see if I can't get to a good mix spot. Alright, so we've got some of our mixing done here, and before we take a listen to what it sounds like, I just want to run through real quick what I did. So aside from mixing some of the levels, you can tell we've got a couple aux tracks in here, and I'll get to that in just a second. Starting with the couch pillow hits, I threw an EQ on here, and just for all intents and purposes, I just threw a preset on here. So this is a preset with the channel strip here for an aggressive snare drum. And with the bed hit, I used a bass DI. Just kind of gave me a good place to start. Obviously, if you want to dive into these a lot deeper, you'll be able to go through and EQ them here. But I'm just looking for kind of a roundabout. I've also got some sends going on here. This first set send for the couch pillow hits, as well as all of the splats, I've actually got running to a reverb here. It's a very short reverb just to kind of give it a little flavor. Now you can also see that I've got this aux track here, and this is for a plugin that I like using called the MH Thump. It adds subharmonics. Most people would use it for a kick drum, but it adds a lot of low end tones that we might have missed out on in the recording. And for our bamboo sticks, I've actually got the pitch shift, kind of give that a lower pitch, give more of a crunch. So, oh, and on my master fader, I did throw a channel strip on here as well. This has a compressor on it, and a gate, and an EQ, as well as our maximum limiter. So, what? Compressor into a limiter? Are you crazy? Sometimes you gotta break some rules. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what this sounds like. And I'm stretching this out because I recently found out that if you grab just a real short, tiny little clip, Pro Tools freaks out. And your buffer goes crazy and doesn't like to do things. So we're actually going to grab a larger sample and take a listen. And you can see here, when it plays, we are smashing that compressor. And that's okay. For percussive sounds like this, I usually do a lot with compression anyway. We're still getting some of the high end. That's what our EQ is doing. But I've noticed that there is kind of a weird sound in the tail of this. And I'm not quite sure where it's coming from. When I was mixing, I actually went through and muted track by track by track, and I couldn't find it. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to bounce this down, and it will, the way we've got our channel set up and our outputs, it is going to spit out a stereo track, which is fine. So let's go ahead and bounce that down to a stereo wave file and then see what we can do with it. Alright, so we've got our mix down wave here, and it looks like the weird sound that was coming from the tail is actually this shift, where we're going from a lot of above the zero crossing to a lot of below, and it's causing a weird filtering issue. So let's actually pull this in quite a bit, and we'll roll that off kind of hard. We're still getting a little bit of it. And now we're not really hearing it at all. Alright, so we could go through if we wanted, and we can EQ this, you know, however we need to. But I'm going to leave it right here. This is where I'm going to end this one. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. You know, considering using household sounds, we didn't do too bad. You know, obviously we could have played around with this more, but you know, for what we're trying to achieve here, I would consider this a success. Since we did only use one sound this week, I'm actually going to include all 95 of the individual clips in the link below for you guys to download. If you don't know, each week there will be a link in the description below the video where you can download for free all of the sounds that I make in the video. You're more than welcome to use them royalty free without credit in any of your projects, so go nuts with that. If you guys have any suggestions as to what you'd like to see in the videos, please feel free to drop a comment down below. You're also more than welcome to get a hold of me on any social media sites. Until next time.